Hey everybody, you happen to be able to hear me? Please put in the chat if you can hear me. This is Paul from Outerloop Coaching. Can you hear me? All right, everybody, can you hear me? So if you can, oh, good, everybody, fantastic. Now, are you able to see on the screen the Release It Right Ice Nine Kills, the Silver Scream edition? Able to see that on the screen, I hope. All right, fantastic. Everybody, hi, how are you? My name is Paul. I'm from Outerloop Coaching. I work with Mike Mowry from Outerloop Management, Outerloop Records, and therefore Outerloop Management manages Ice Nine Kills. So been working with Spencer and the guys on what I'm going to talk about today. So I'm really excited that you guys are here. I got to tell you, I originally had thought that maybe we'd get, I don't know, 30, 50 people. And wow, we just got blown away. Thank you, everybody, for coming out. I'm going to try to be very respectful of your time. I know it's a Saturday afternoon, so I'm going to go quickly and try to give you just great information along the way. So if it's all right with you, let's get started. All right, so these are the questions that I plan on answering today. So hold for it as this gets rolled out. So the first question that you might get asked, that you might have is, what was the overall strategy for the release of the Silver Scream? And the second question, what should my release party graphics include? This is something that Mike emailed about the other day. I thought it was a cool thing, so figured we'd talk about that today. Let's see, how many prepared songs should I go into the studio with? So that's super special. We're going to have Spencer directly answer that question. And what should I post to my social media channels prior to releasing my album or EP? So just a little bit of context. So while we're going to be talking about how Outerloop Management worked with Fearless and a bunch of other people on rolling out this album, The Silver Scream, it's really being communicated for the purpose of how can you do it for your album or EP. That's the ideas. That's why these questions are the ones that I'm hoping to answer today. If any of these are interesting to you, if you're a self-managed musician or an aspiring music business pro, I'm hoping that these are the kind of questions that you want answers to. You can't get them anywhere. So, well, hopefully I can answer them and a lot more today. All right. So introduction of myself. My name is Paul Phelps. I'm a former music manager and event producer. A couple things you'll learn about me today is that first is that I talk fast when I get excited. And the second is that I suck at sales. So example A will be the first couple slides. And I see there's a bunch of people here from around the world. So if English is your second language, then please let me know that I am talking too fast. The example B is that I'm not going to waste your precious time by telling you I have something super awesome you're going to want to buy, but I better spend I spend the better part of an hour or two not telling you what it is or what it costs. I mean, screw that. I've seen that with some other of these presentations like this, and I hate them. I figure you probably hate them. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to give you a whole boatload of good information. You can, it might be great for you, and that's all you want, all you need. That's fine. But I got a boatload more, and hey, I got to pay some bills. So what I'm doing is that I'm going to I'm offering this as a product. So Release It Right is one of our products. And we're doing the Silver Scream edition of it. And so it's not ready yet. It's going to be ready in a few weeks. When it's ready, we're selling it for $97. And until it's ready, and I'm just taking pre-registrations for it, it's going to be $67. And as you stick around here for a little while, I'm going to sell it for $50, but only for 30 minutes and only for a limited number of people. And I think the number I set was 100 because I figured there was no way I'd get 100 people to show up to this. So it was just a way to sort of catch it for myself and make sure that I don't have too many of these offers out there. But since we've got a hell of a lot more than that, it actually ends up being a real sort of a real limit. I don't know how to turn it off. So today I'm going to show you some of the favorite things I learned while talking to the management, talking to the band, talking to the record label, and everyone else I could find who was involved in releasing Ice Nine Kills, The Silver Scream. I'm going to talk to you about a bunch of those people I still need to talk to. I won't show you everything because there isn't time. It would take a few hours rather than just the minutes that we have this Saturday afternoon. But I'm going to show you some good stuff. So no matter what, you'll be able to use these ideas on your next album or EP release. And you'll do better than you have before because of it. Then I know you might be a struggling musician and coming up with $97, $50 is it's hard. So there's no pressure whatsoever. I'll show you what it is. I'll give you a bunch of this for free. And then it's totally up to you if you want more. I believe in what we're doing today a lot, but I suck at sales. So I'm just telling you what I'm selling. Really, I just like building great systems and cool courses. I've co-founded Outerloop Coaching with Outerloop Group president and managing partner Mike Mowry 2 years ago. This is Mike over here and I enjoying the holidays together last year with our families here in Dublin, Ireland. Mike is based in Los Angeles at the moment, but I'm out here in Europe. I'm a music business nerd, even after leaving the industry. I follow the trends. I watch the technologies. I watch what people are doing that works and watch what people are doing that don't work. And so I wanted to build a platform that would teach self-managing musicians and music business pros like you how people active in the current industry are doing it. And I didn't want to, I don't do this stuff day to day. I don't wake up in the morning wondering how I'm going to sell albums for my clients. I wake up in the morning thinking about systems and processes. And as a hobby, I think about this stuff. But Mike and his team, they wake up every single morning thinking about how to do great stuff for their clients. And so I learned from them. And that's my job, is to take all the things in their head, take everything that they do that works. I retest it and test it on other clients of Mike and his team. And the stuff that doesn't work, I don't assume that it is going to not work for anybody else. We test it again. And when something doesn't work multiple times, we discard it. When things are working and they start to not work as well as they used to, we try new things. And so we're doing it every single day. And one of the advantages to working with Mike and his team is that they've got a bunch of clients. They've got a bunch of bands signed to the label. They got a bunch of bands that are signed to the management company. We're able to test all this stuff just about every few weeks. And so it's pretty awesome. So based on a lot of the stuff that I've learned from Mike and his team and that we've been able to extract from them and extract from the best practices by their record labels that they work with and other management companies and everybody else, we're able to build some really cool courses. So the flagship here is Release It Right. It's absolutely our most popular one. 60 Days to Signable was big for us a few months ago. It's not a recorded product. It was only done live. We got these introductory courses, Breaking In 1 and 2. We're doing the coaching intensive now, Connected, Unleash It Right, and we're developing a bunch more for 2019. And by the way, I know that there's a handful of Outerloop coaching family, part of the family. I know you guys are in there in the chat. Please poke your head up, say hey. If you could tell everybody that we're pretty cool, that'd be great. I know there's a few guys here from the coaching intensive, which is wrapping up in just a few weeks. We've made some huge progress this year with them. But yeah, guys, just poke your head out, let everybody know that she exists. And, we've been doing this a couple of years now. So it'd be good to have everybody hear that you're real. And maybe you can tell some horror stories about me. So Outerloop Management, real quick introduction. Outerloop Management manages a number of great bands, including Darkest Hour, Refused, Tooth Grinder, and these guys here, Ice Nine Kills. They've also managed dozens of other great punk and metal bands well, like Periphery, We Came as Romans, Set It Off. Outerloop Records is also responsible for some of Ice Nine Kills catalog and great albums from bands like Lorna Shore and one of my favorites, Night Argent. If you haven't heard them, please go check them out. I think that stuff is great. Mike and his team, are actively every day working to improve the careers of these bands, right? And I've been alongside them recording everything that they've been doing and then recycling the things that worked so the next client can utilize the same methods. So when something works and it's worked over and over again, I bring it to Outerloop Coaching and Mike, and I teach it, continuing to test it while bringing it to our students. Mike can't manage as many bands as he would like to. And if you don't recognize him, he's there at the bottom of that photo there, the band photo with the baseball cap. That's Mike Mowry. He can't manage as many bands as he'd like to. Outerloop Coaching is his way of making it possible for him to be as useful to each and every one of you. And maybe when you're ready for a manager, you'll consider working with Mike because you'll know what he's going to do for you. So some reviews, I won't get into these for too long, but just to let you know, I think we do some really good things. Let me put this in a little bit of context. If you've ever sat in your room, you've written a song, you don't know if it's any good, you go up on stage and you play it, and then you look out and there's people, I don't know, banging their head, loving it, arms around each other, maybe even singing the lyrics. For me as a non-musician, that's exactly what Outerloop Coaching has been like. I thought I'd developed some really cool stuff, but when I get notes like these from people, it tells me that no, we're actually doing some really awesome stuff. Real quick, this band Harmed over here on the left, just wanted to share a story in here. When we started the course, 60 Days to Signable, my band had basically nothing, just music, no page, not even an official band announcement. I've learned tons and tons, and we actually landed more in 6 months using the knowledge than I'd ever imagined. Our pre-orders were going through the Victory merch store. Tomorrow we were releasing an EP on a label, and right now this debut EP streams on Lamb Goat. So check out Harm. By the way, very cool band. And just one more, this one here I thought was really awesome. Just wanted to drop you a line and say thank you. I've been watching your videos and reading your ebooks for a while now. I just read through your music management primer. By the way, the music management primer is free. It's up on outerloopcoaching.com, and I'll tell you how to get it later, but it's a free ebook that Mike wrote, and it's all about music management. You got to go check it out. Okay, continuing on. I'm happy to report that we went from years of 0 paying clients to 5 or 6 paying clients in the past month. Actually, I've made more money in the past month in the music business than I have in about a decade of touring, marketing, managing, and promoting. It's largely due to implementing a lot of the things you talk about in your instructional materials, from building better relationships through stronger communication to doing whatever it takes and being hungry enough to find the right opportunities. It's helped immensely, and just wanted to say thanks. Very cool. It gives me chills, really. It's kind of nutty. And just a few more quick notes. Easily one of the smartest investments I've ever made in myself. I think is an absolutely awesome experience. I would take back my 10 plus years of college debt to pay for this course over and over again. That was regarding 60 Days Assignable. So yeah, super happy. Kevin Lyman, talking about Mike and his Outerloop team. You might know Kevin Lyman. He's the founder of the Vans Warped Tour. Mike and the Outerloop team offer a dynamic and hardworking approach to management. Their experience, coupled with honesty and integrity, offers the ideal support for artists. Both new and older acts strongly benefit from their creative, hands-on work ethic. So, all right, I'm done with that, right? So hopefully you see that, like, you know, we know what we're talking about, and people are responding, and it's really working for them. So that's all my point is. I'm not blowing, I'm not blowing smoke. This next slide is tricky, okay, because I don't think it's going to work. All right, but I have a message here from Mike, and let me see if you don't mind being patient with me, because this is, you got to understand, I'm a one man show here when I'm just yeah, it's just me here. So some of this technology stuff I'm not great at, and this webinar stuff is one of those things. So let me see if I can get this to work here. I got a video from Mike. Hopefully it works. Can you all do me a favor in the chat and just let me know if it is or if it's not working? Let's see if it does. I've got to make sure that you can hear it too.
What's up, everybody? I'm here to tell you about the Ice 9 Kills Silver Scream version of Release It Right. Release It Right has been the flagship product for Outerloop coaching, and it's really the one that I am so passionate about. I built this thing from years of experience of working with artists, those who have been signed, unsigned, working on singles, EPs, LPs, videos, you name it. And the consistent thing that I saw and noticed with artists who weren't able to get ahead was just that they weren't prepared. So we built this amazing workbook that allows you to start thinking about everything that you can for a release before you even go into the studio. And holy cow, with Ice 9 Kills, the Silver Scream, not sure if you saw the results, but we sold almost 19,000 copies first week. This was something that even I was astonished by, absolutely floored by. We know how to do this thing. We've done it time and time again, and this one, by building this and really meticulously following what we've done at the Outerloop coaching product with Release It Right, is just, the results speak for themselves. So if you're interested in what we have, which is amazing results, you don't have to be an Ice 9 Kills. You don't have to be on a label. You can be an independent artist who wants better results for your record, because ultimately what actually matters is the results, the measurements. If you can show people that you're charting, if you can show people that you've got plays and streams, that's what moves the needle. That's where everything else starts to fall in place. You start to get more recognition. You're able to approach other companies, and that's what we're able to help you with. We can't do it for you, it's on you, but we've got the outline, we've got the product, and oh my God, can you believe it? Spencer Charnas, the man, one of my absolute favorite clients that I've ever worked with, ever, because this guy is amazing. He keeps us on task, and he knows exactly how to use this system. We sat down, we laid everything out, and this is what we are going to provide to you in this special edition of the Silver Scream Release It Right. So act fast, there's a limited amount of seats. Get there early, get there often, and you are not going to be disappointed with this amazing product. Peace.
All right. Hopefully the video worked. Everything is good. Hit me in the chat. Let me know if it did. And by the way, while you're in the chat, if you could do me a big favor, just let me know, like, where are you from? I'm kind of curious. Where is everybody from? What cities do you live in? That was Mike in Los Angeles. And, it's, that sure looks like really, really nice out there. I'm here in Dublin, Ireland, where they call it misery in the mist out here. All right, awesome. I'm glad the video worked. Madison, Wisconsin, New Mexico, Redfield, South Dakota, Fort Lauderdale, Rhode Island, Michigan. What part of Michigan, Jeffrey? I used to be in Canton, Michigan. Very cool. All right, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm super glad to see everybody is excited. Hey, and everybody, be sure while you're in the chat, like, plug your bands. Let other people know about your band. Like, don't be shy. That's one of the things that we teach over at Outerloop coaching, I think, all the time. I hope everybody can notices that, or just, you got to promote yourself. Like, got to do it. It can get awkward, but it's all good. All right. So moving on. So that was Mike Mowry. Mike Mowry's been in the music business for a long, long time, and he's worked with legends, just absolute legends. But one of the reasons that I got so excited about when I got to meet him and then just bounce this outer loop coaching idea and it clicked was what was so exciting to me is he's taken band after band after band from like just about nothing to just monster. Yeah, so, and that's what's needed for out of loop coaching. So, all right, cool. Real quick, a little introduction to Release It Right. Just so you know, it's a ton of videos, but it's also a workbook. It's just a way to organize your everything you do going into the recording studio, organize everything you do while you're in the recording studio, and organize everything you do to get out of once you get out of the recording studio, with the purpose of when you hit week 1 of your release, you got just a ton of momentum. And every band needs that momentum. You need momentum to keep your band your bandmates interested. You need momentum in order to like grow your band from just local band to regional band, from regional band to national band. You need momentum to try to attract the attention of the industry. If you're looking for a record label, looking for a manager, you're looking for all these people to be a part of your team, the number one, just absolutely without a doubt, the best way to do it is to have results that people can see, and it lets them know that you are growing. It lets them know that your band is getting bigger, right? So hypothetical, right? You get your band into that Billboard 200. Now, some of you might think that that's just like way out of the realm of possibility. But the truth of the matter, and I've seen it, the truth of the matter is that if you put all your pieces together, I don't care if you got 2 Facebook followers and 3 Spotify listens in the last month, if you organize it right and do a rollout the right way, you will hit that Billboard 200. I promise you. And so I know that sounds outrageous, but I don't make outrageous claims. I told you earlier, I suck at selling. And, you may think to yourself, I hope in my life I write a song that people will like remember. And even when I die, it's like, at least I left that behind. Release It Right for me might be my thing. It might be the thing that I can leave behind someday, and people will go, yeah, he was a bit of a nut, but he left behind this Release It Right program, and it actually made a difference. And the thing is that there's not a ton of people who know about this yet. I'm kind of scared for what might happen when people do. But so this is what Release It Right was. The original inspiration, right? So let's say you're putting together your first band, right? You get everybody into to your rehearsal room, probably your basement, whatever. Everybody picks up the instruments, and what do? You all look at each other and go, let's cover a song. You got different guitars, you've got different drums, you got different equipment, but you know the song, right? You know how the chords go, you know how the notes go, you know what the melody is. That was my idea with Release It Right. I see band after band after band trying to put out their own recordings, and they can't do it because they don't know the notes. They don't know the chords. They're not out there. There's not guitar tab for how you release your album, right? So what I did was I went to Mike and I said, give me like 5 of your biggest releases. I just want to see all the notes that you have. I want to see everything that happened on what days, and I want to see how, what videos you made, what graphics you made, all that stuff. And what I found as I was going through all of these things was that there was a system. Like, yeah, things would be like sometimes they'd release a graphic here instead of a video there. Sometimes it would be a teaser. Sometimes it'd be a this, it'd be a that. But for the most part, there was a real steady pattern, right? They would put out their playlists on Spotify at about this point. They would, put out the a podcast interview that they had gotten. They'd promote that at just this point, and it would be within almost a few days. So I thought, this is great. What I can do is I can tell everybody, same thing, right? If you want to release your album the right way, do it just the way other people do. Now, you can be as creative as you want to be with the notes and with the chords and with the melodies if you want. But I think most people just want to be creative and write good songs and perform songs and not think about the rest of it, right? So if you don't want to think about it, you can just follow exactly what the system is, put together this, put together that, release it at those times. You don't have to think about it. You might even be able to hand it off to, a cousin or a fan of the band or a friend and say, could you do this for us? Because it's a hard work, right? But once you see what you need and it's organized for you, it's relatively easy to just do it. So that was Release It Right. And you know what? It's just like a cover tune. You want to do your own spin on it, more power to you, but at least you know the outline of what you need, what you can play with within, right? You know what the chords are. So that's Release It Right. And it's been real successful for us. So it's really, really cool. So that leads me to what the Silver Scream edition is, right? So when Silver Scream, if you haven't noticed, has been a monstrous success, not only for Ice Nine Kills and Outerloop Management and Fearless Records, but this album outdid expectations like nothing, right? Like nobody thought the album was going to do what it did. Mike didn't think the album did. I don't think the band thought that it would do what it did. Sure, there were some things that happened that nobody could have expected. Nobody could have predicted getting onto Octane and getting heavy rotation on Sirius Octane and things like that really, really bumped it up. But even if you take out the difference that those things that happened, just on the quality of the music and the connections that were being made by the team for Ice Nine Kills, you even take that out, it still was going to be a monstrous success. But I mean, it outdid everything. And the truth of the matter is that, and I think that those of you who already own Release It Right, and if you do, please let everybody know that, that it was good and that you liked it. I'm hoping, I've never gotten an email or a message from anybody saying that they didn't think it was monstrous for them and made a great difference, or that they learned a lot from it. So, but if you're in the chat, if you're here with us and you've got Release It Right, please let everybody know. Now, this is the thing that you guys will see that other people might not see, is that the Silver Scream was released with a lot of the timing of Release It Right. It's the same people putting out the Silver Scream as what put out all the other Outerloop Management releases. So, and Mike has a really, really good idea as to what works and what doesn't work. So of course, Mike is going to have things that he's going to say to the record label, is going to say to the band, you got to try this, not that, because I've done this and that worked. I done that and that didn't work, that sort of stuff. So you'll see that there's a lot of correlation, but there's also some huge differences. So what it was that we decided to do is to, instead of having Release It Right, the original version, which is, like I said, an amalgamation of about 4 or 5 different releases, this Silver Scream edition is showing you exactly how Ice Nine Kills released the Silver Scream. So if, for example, you have an album that you're planning to release in 2019, an EP that you want to release in 2019, you follow exactly what Ice Nine Kills did, And I promise you, you will outdo expectations. You will be the envy of everybody in your scene. You'll be getting the phone ringing instead of trying to get return phone calls that never happen from industry people. I mean, we all have that, right? That's the goal. Cover the song, cover the album, cover the release schedule for the album. That's the entire premise. So that's the idea. And what I'm going to do here, this is a little tricky. All right, so now we're going to move on to those questions I promised you we were going to answer. I'm not quite sure how long this is going to take, but what I'm going to do is, I told you earlier, we're going to do this offer thing. Hopefully this works. Let me get it going. And if you will be interested in picking up the Silver Scream edition of Release It Right, you've got 30 minutes, and that's how long it's going to be. $50. Again, if you don't get it in the next 30 minutes, it's okay. It'll be $67 in after those 30 minutes are up. And then let's see here. And then it'll be that way until I've got the entire course done. After that, it will be $97 to buy the course. Again, this is something that I'm doing in conjunction with Ice Nine Kills and in conjunction with Mike and Outerloop team. So don't worry, they know what's going on. They know what we're doing. So you know, they're willing to share, which is amazing to me that they're willing to share this. So 30 minutes, they'll be doing that. Let's see, somebody asked a question here. What's the hardest part of recording and how to overcome? Geez, that's a tough question. Let me think. You know, I'll be real honest with you. So I am not a musician. I'm not even part of the management team. I'm just the guy who takes all the stuff and all the information and puts it out. I have no idea what somebody else's fears are going to be. I don't know what it is that they're going to find really challenging, but you know, my only guess is ignorance. If you've never been in the recording studio before, you don't know all the things that you need to know when going in. I've talked to a whole bunch of producers. In fact, during the intensive program, we talked to Kyle Odell, amazing producer, by the way. And, you know, he'll tell you a boatload. He's a great person to ask. What's the stuff I need to know before I get in the studio? With this program, at least what I'm going to arm you with is all the things you should be thinking about before you go in there, all the material you should have ready before you go in there, all the things you need to ask a producer or an engineer before, while you're in there, even before, things you need to have in your contract ahead of time. I'm hoping that once you're armed with that kind of information, that everything else is gravy, you know, as far as challenges are concerned. So hopefully that answered your question. Sorry, your name flew by. Why don't we do a little bit more Q&A in just a bit, if that's okay? So hold on just a moment. And oh, right, I got to start this this offer. Okay, the timer started. 30 minutes. Eric asks, what's the difference between this Scream production and the original Release It Right? Do you recommend getting both? Perfect timing. Okay, so check this out. You buy this edition of the Silver Scream, you get Release It Right as it exists right now. You have it today, now, this evening. And the only stuff that I'm going to add during the month of December, when it goes for full on for everybody at $97, at that point is when I give you a second workbook, and I give you a 45-minute long conversation with Spencer and some more information from Mike Mowry about stuff that's specific about the Silver Scream release, as well as all the things that you get and Release It Right, which is like your scheduling and the list of things that you should have before going in the studio and the things that you should be thinking about. All that stuff, I'm going to give you that as it was for the Silver Scream. So you will get the original Release It Right, plus you get all this new stuff that is exclusive to the Silver Scream and how they released it. So hopefully that makes sense. So check out, that's it, $50, Silver Scream edition, done with selling, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's move on to questions. The questions that I promised I was going to answer earlier. And hold on, just get my screen here back up and going. I'm sorry, I'm getting another question. Chandler asks, does Release It Right cover some social media training? Yes, not a ton, I'll be honest with you. However, I'm going to talk about the social media rollout, the Facebook rollout for the Silver Scream. I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit of depth today, and it's going to be in mega depth when you get the Silver Scream edition. Twitter, I'm going to have all that. Instagram, all the socials we're going to cover in a ton of depths. So that's question, I think, 4, what we're going to cover now. So let's get going in it. So first question is, what was the overall strategy for the release of the Silver Scream? And so I'm including this photo here because this is interesting. This is a couple years old. This is Mike Mowry holding up some gold discs from Ice Nine Kills' career. The foundation for the Silver Scream success was built year by year, release by release, gig by gig. So it wouldn't have been possible for Ice Nine Kills to have the success that they have had with the Silver Scream if they had not been building it as and they're having their career getting bigger and better and bigger and better all the time. The gigs get bigger and better. The opportunities for opening for other bands were getting bigger and better. The position that they would be in a festival, they'd be going higher and higher up in that lineup over time to where they are now. I mean, hell, they're on tour as we speak, and I think they're opening up for oh, geez, somebody in the chat, tell me who they're opening up for. But I mean, you look at those bands' success compared to Ice Nine Kills, and frankly, nobody else that they've been playing with for the last few years has gotten as high up on the Billboard charts as Ice Nine Kills have. So it'll be interesting to see what happens for their career going forward, just based on this success. So secondly, the overall strategy for this rollout was the mantra that is everybody who's already part of our Outerloop coaching family, they know this mantra. It is great content done consistent. Let me do that again. Great content done consistently over time. Mike chants this mantra to everybody who will hear, and this album is a great example of, and this rollout was a great example of using that mantra and it working just like it always does. You can't release an album cold and expect the world to be waiting for it. You have to build anticipation. You have to build demand. You have to get pre-orders in. You have to build momentum for that week one. And the way to do it is great content done consistently over time. If you get nothing else out of today, please write that down. Write it on your bathroom mirror if you need to. That's the thing we should all be striving to do every day, no matter what it is we do. Whether, I don't care if you, are delivering pizzas every day, right? So just create great content, do it consistently over time, and it works. Third, there's a team of people behind this release. There's management, there's a record label, there's a publicist, there's a bunch more, right? So if you don't have that team, you have to be prepared to be multiple people. You have to be the artist when you need to be the artist, but you have to be the record label when you need to be the record label. You have to be the manager when you need to be the manager. So until you have that team, you have to think like all the different roles that you have on your team. There's a handful of people in our intensive program who are doing an amazing job of this, and it's attracting other people to work with them. One student from intensive, we started the year and it was him. It was just him and his band, right? And as of a few weeks ago, manager, publicist, record label, the whole thing, right? I'm taking no credit for what it is that he's got. What I'm talking about is that he worked his butt off, and he worked it thinking like all of those roles, and he attracted people to work with him, and it's totally worked. It's fantastic. All right, so the album rollout succeeded because everyone trusted Spencer's vision. Spencer is the lead singer and principal songwriter of Ice Nine Kills. He's the remaining founder of Ice Nine Kills. So in case you didn't know, he has a vision, and it was incredibly clear. It's been incredibly clear for a long time. He talks about this during the conversation we'll be including in the Silver Scream edition. And that's a big part of why this album succeeded. Everyone else on the team trusted Spencer's vision, and they trusted Spencer's gut like never before. I've talked to people in the universe, and they talk about, for example, with the music videos, where on past albums, there's been compromises when Spencer would say, I wanted to do this, I wanted to do that, I want to do this. And people would go, I don't know, I think I might be a little too extreme, or it might be a little too much this, too much that. And they didn't trust it, and they would be a little compromise. This album, there was no compromise. And that's a huge reason why this album succeeded. And I think that, and this is just me projecting, I have no idea, but I think Spencer trusted his vision and his gut more than ever before. And that is a huge part. If you're the artist, trust your gut like Spencer did, but also know when you haven't convinced yourself, and allow your team to help. Don't confuse your stubbornness with your conviction, if that makes sense, right? If you know in your gut there's a tinge that just tells you that's a little bit of doubt, it's okay to listen to it, right? It's okay. You can refute it. You can say, no, I think this is the way to go, and go with it. But I can promise you, by the time the rollout started happening for the Silver Scream, Spencer had none of those little twinges in his stomach. All right. So second question, what should my release party graphics include? Okay. This is something that Mike emailed, and I'm going to go a little quickly through this one just because I don't know how huge this might be for you, but it might be really helpful when you're thinking about graphics, you're thinking about things that you want to do for your album release. And this is stuff that we talk about in Outerloop coaching all the time. So first thing is, touring before your release is crucial, right? Before, so many bands wait to do their live dates after release date. Do it before. There's a bunch of reasons for that we actually talked during Unleash It, right? Which is a once a year thing that Mike does, and I think we're hopefully going to do it in February or March this year. We'll see, but there's some legally gray reasons for touring and doing your dates before the album. But in the most important thing is that you are generating momentum. And if you're pre-selling your album and you're doing it the right way, those sales can count towards your first week sales. So look out for Unleash It Right if this, makes you go, that sounds interesting. Second thing. All right. So scarcity. This is one of those things that marketers talk about all the time. And think about it. Like years ago, they'd spend a small fortune in reprinting posters and posting them up around a town or whatever. They would spend a small fortune just to communicate scarcity. Now you can do it for nothing. So do it, right? You see here on the poster, 100 more tickets released, just communicating scarcity. It was true, right? But made sure it got out there, made sure people knew about it. Even if you know those 100 tickets are going to sell, you got to get it out there just to generate excitement, to let people know that you're in demand. You could be hundreds of miles away from this gig, but you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I was there. That looks cool. That's what you want. Next thing is promote over and over again in multiple channels. So, this wasn't the only version of this poster that got out there. There was, they posted this poster in a number of different times through their socials, in different channels, etc. Even when it first went on sale, when things were going really well, just a few days out, and then 100 more tickets just released, sold out, all those things. They kept on putting it out there in order to make sure that people were excited for the gig. So that's just a general thing you want to know with your band. Promote over and over again. Use the multiple channels. Branding. All right, so look at this. I mean, is there anything on this poster that doesn't say the Silver Scream? Right? That doesn't say Ice Nine Kills. Like, the reason that everything flows from what it was it's trying to communicate on this album. I'm going to skip the details, like there's a bunch of horror songs and therefore it's a movie, horror movie songs. So therefore you're a movie theater and blah, 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 right? All that stuff. But the reason that all that stuff is aligned is because you're trying to communicate an immersive experience. You're trying to make it experiential. This isn't just an album. This is an experience, right? And you should do that for your stuff too. Feel free to take your band photo wearing jeans, t-shirts in front of a brick wall, but make sure your colors are consistent. Make sure that your logo is consistent. Make sure that the attitude you're conveying to the world is consistent, because that is going to be the thing that attracts people to it. Reminds them of exactly why they like you and why they want to hear you. So be consistent with it. The last reason, the last thing I wanted to point out on this, it's a little small on the poster, but it's huge for marketing really in general. But, think about this in everything you do with your band. It's launching above the line of credibility. This is not an original idea. This is, oh boy, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. There's a guy, just Google it on YouTube, launching above the line of credibility. You'll get his, he's like a .com, like Peter Diamandis. Yes, is his name. Yes. So look him up. It's a great concept. The concept is that you link your brand with another brand that people already trust and already respect. When your brand is associated with that brand, all of a sudden people associate you with those qualities. They associate you with that they trust, with that trust. They associate you with that quality. So look for opportunities to do that. And you don't want to just, put your band logo and make a deal with a local gas station, unless it's the coolest gas station in town, right? Because it's just not that cool, it's people kind of look at it and go, yeah, no, I don't really like gas. But when you associate it with, as in this example, you see that this album release party presented by Revolver magazine, right? I mean, who doesn't love that magazine? Who doesn't trust that magazine? Who doesn't think that magazine is an arbiter of really good stuff? I don't even think Revolver would associate themselves with something they didn't think was of high quality. You know what? Truth is, I don't know if that's true or not, but it doesn't matter. I think it's probably not true. It makes me want to go, even if I'm not familiar with Ice Nine Kills, I see that it's presented by Revolver. I go, that looks interesting. And again, extend that to everything that you do, right? And I think it'll be huge for you. It's about what venues you play. It's about what other bands you play with. It's about what if the local TV station is going to do a news story on you, you better make sure it's cool. You know what I mean? Next question. So how many? Here we go. Sorry, how many prepared songs should I go into the studio with? Now, I'm going to let Spencer answer this question. This is one of those things that actually Spencer did differently than what we would have advised in Release It Right. but there's a reason for it. So the video worked earlier with Mike. Let's hope that the video works really well here for Spencer. And so let me get that going. And please, in the chat, hook me up with make sure that it works, and hey, 13 minutes or so left in the $50 for a Release It Right, the Silver Scream edition.
Well, bands can do that as far as just kind of going in with 13 ideas and going and tracking the studio. This record was done in pieces. It was done in, I would want to say, maybe 4 different trips to work with Drew, whether it was, the 2 weeks that I'd mentioned earlier about the writing, and then starting to track the music, and then a few different separate occasions of us doing vocals. I actually recorded vocals for one of the songs back with Steve in Syracuse, New York. So that kind of eliminated some of the pressure of like, we're going in June and July, and we got 13 songs, and they all need to be done then. So that we kind of did it in pieces, which relieved some of the pressure. But there were definitely a couple of ideas that just didn't pan out. For instance, Scream is one of my favorite horror movie of all time, and I definitely wanted to include that on the record, but the idea just wasn't coming together. And the last thing I would want to do is make a song about my favorite film anywhere in the subpar category. So stuff like that unfortunately fell by the wayside, but I'm hoping that we get to revisit a song like that on a bonus release or something like that.
All right, hopefully that worked all right. Hit in the chat. Is everybody doing okay, by the way? Hope I'm not going too fast. Can you let me know? Is the information good? Are you liking what we're talking about? Please post in the chat. And let me check here on how things are going with the offer. The offer's got 11 minutes left in it. So, yeah, please jump on that. That would be great. I see a bunch of, this might be from earlier, some people posting their bands. So shout out to youngother.com. Be sure to check them out. Thanks for joining. Yonya, is that what it's called? Winter's Descent. Check out them. They're all in the chat. So, support each other, right? One of the great things about, Ghost of Hope at Ghosts of Hope at Ghosts of Hope on Instagram. Be sure to check them out as well. I'm going to do it. I love to get turned on to new music. This is the great thing about music is like, you can fill up 24/7 of your day with music and it doesn't cost anybody else anything, right? It's awesome. So, and let me check here how much time we got left in the offer, down to 10 minutes. So please jump on that if you can. So, all right, this is a big one. This is big. So this is going to go over the 10 minutes, right? So even though this is going to be, I think, this is the thing I'm going to be most excited to talk about. And it's going to look really nerdy on the screen. It's freaking spreadsheets. And I'm sorry, it's not video of Spencer, which would be cool. And by the way, there's like 45 minutes of Spencer talking awesome stuff about behind the scenes of the Silver Scream and how what was on his mind in thinking about the album, thinking about what it was that was going to happen with the recordings, how the recordings were done, all the songwriting process, all this stuff, and everything that we talked about. This is just it's not a normal interview with Spencer from Ice Nine Kills. This is he and I talking about what he did in the context of what other people can learn from it. I hope that makes sense, right? So it's a little different. It's not him sitting there and going, we sat down and wrote a song and, then we put out the album and no, he's getting into detail and he's talking about it in terms of you know, this is what I did. This is exactly what I did, why I did it. This is what I was thinking. And all of it in the context of you as a self-managed musician, you as someone who works with musicians. Some of you might be managers of a handful of people, and you're supporting their careers and trying to get them up and going. And man, I applaud you, by the way. Do it. I'm so glad you're out there. It's all the things that you can apply to your own career. So, all right, enough of that. What should I post to my social media channels prior to releasing my album or EP? This is the question I'm going to answer now. And if you haven't yet, buy the Silver Scream edition for $50 for just only a few more minutes. After those few more minutes, it's 67, right? So you save $17. But this is going to take me longer than that time. So we're going to get into some depth. What should I post to my social media channels prior to releasing my album or EP? Here's a dirty secret about the music industry in 2018 when it comes to social media. Nobody knows. Nobody knows the right answer. I've hired social media experts to try to get them to tell me how I should be doing better social media stuff for Outerloop coaching. They don't know. They don't know. It cost me a small fortune to do it too. It's embarrassing, and it's all out of pocket. So it's frustrating, and I'm sure you're frustrated because you're thinking, "Geez, I tweet all the time, and I'm posting photos on Instagram all the time. It's not really working." And you know what? I don't know. You might be doing the best you can. I'm not sure. What I do know is that what Ice Nine Kills did worked. That's all I know. What they did is it worked. So, and I should add, right? The social media that Outerloop management and Outerloop Records does for their clients consistently shows growth, builds excitement for all their clients. There can be a million different reasons for that. It could be that Mike is choosing talented artists that are producing great content all the time, and people are responding to it, and they respond to it by becoming friends on Facebook and followers on Instagram and all the rest of it, right? It could be that it could be that they know what they're doing with social media. I'm not really sure. But again, what does work is what Ice Nine Kills did. It may not be the best it could have been. It might be the best there ever has been. I've got nothing to compare it to. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to talk a little bit about how far in advance Ice Nine Kills started their social media strategy. And I'm going to talk about how that can apply to you. And I'm going to talk about some of the differences, just the same context that I'm talking about here, why there might be some differences. So real quick, this is what the Release It Right workbook looks like. For those of you who've just bought the Silver Scream pre-registration for $50, thank you, first of all. And second of all, quick, go download that PDF that's in there. I think it's in part 1 or part 2. It's the workbook. Go download it, put it on your machine right now, right? Because what I'm showing you here are a couple of the pages from that book. On the right is the plan for the singles. Now, in Release It Right, what we advised based on the track record for the other Outerloop management, Outerloop Records clients is 3 singles before the album release for an album, and 2 for an EP release, whether it's 4 songs, 5 songs, whatever. For Ice Nine Kills, The Silver Scream, they released 4 singles before the album came out. So totally different. Well, more at least, right? When you're using the workbook, and there is a video that I recorded. Most of the recording from Release It Right is all Mike Mowry, by the way, teaching the stuff, not me. But I did put one video in there that just walks you through step by step, page by page, everything in the workbook. And what it is that we've got here in this worksheet for choosing your singles is once you put into the sheet what singles you're planning on having and organizing it, right? Putting it on paper so that way it's like concrete, it's real. Can't be undone. Well, it'll be undone, but you know what I mean? Like, everybody in the band agrees these are the singles, right? Then it's easy to then move to the release schedule in the back of the workbook and just plug them in. And you know exactly what date you need to release it based on working backwards from the release date of your album. That's the concept. That's the idea. And in fact, I've got a Google workbook. Hey, what can I tell you? It's not fancy. It's no big JavaScript software or anything like that. It's just a Google workbook. I'll send you the link if you buy the program, if you want it, and you can copy it for yourself. You plop in the release date of your album and the rest of it fills up. So you know what you need to do and when you need to do it. All right. So that's the context of what I'm going to talk about here. So what I did for Facebook for Ice Nine Kills. And hey, you don't want to buy the program, it's okay. You spend about 6 hours on a Sunday going through all their social media and tracking exactly what they did and when they did it. And you've got everything present here. It's not magic. I'll tell you exactly how I did it. So, I got a little bit of information from behind the scenes as to why they chose what they chose. But at the end of the day, the why doesn't matter, right? It just works. So feel free to do it if you want to spend the time. But if you don't, I already did it for you, right? What's your time worth? Like $15, $20, $50 an hour? Took 6 hours to do it, and I can get it to you for $50. Okay. So you look here, top left corner, planned release date. The Silver Scream was released on the 5th of October, 2018. And going back, the first post that Ice Nine Kills put on their Facebook that was to generate some excitement for the release of the Silver Scream was all the way back on the 25th of May. That's over, hold on a second, September, August, July, June. That's over 4 months before the album was released. So my apologies to those of you who are planning on releasing your next album or EP in January. Haven't started, getting all the posts out and all that stuff and generating excitement. You're a little bit behind. You might want to think about pushing that release back, right? It's a mistake I've made, right? When I used to be a manager, I still remember standing at the CD release party waiting for the box of CDs to show up because we didn't even have them in hand yet. Huge mistake, right? Oh, we're down to less than a minute. Okay, so just real pause. If you haven't made a decision yet, I totally understand. I won't say too much more other than there's no way I will sell this Silver Scream edition for $50 ever again. And I might add, there's like 16 videos or 16 hours, I don't know, 16 videos, something like that, that's included in that. If you go to the page, it tells you exactly how. I don't even remember at this point, right? That stuff you can't torrent it. You can't do anything. So, all right, 3, 2, all right, out of time. Okay, it's still there. It didn't go away. It's $67. So chat. Oh, I gotta get the chat back up. I'm being told. Hold on a second. Let's see if I can figure this technology out. All right. So that was it. I'm gonna remove that. The chat is back. Oh, so I didn't realize that the chat wasn't there. I apologize. Okay. So I see there's been some comment. Is this going to be available as a video after? I cannot watch because I'm outside. Oh, it'll be edited, but I'll have something like that. To be honest with you, what it is, this is for Jessica there. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'm going to edit this video and I'm going to probably just stick it into the whole program. I might break it up into some pieces and I don't know, put it up in, yeah, YouTube, things like that. So yeah. Oh, Oliver, you manage Harmed? Oh, that's so cool, dude. I see you in the chat. Hey man, dude, love the band. I got to tell you, I listen to Harmed like semi regularly, and it's so sort of like weird. Like I hope that you and the guys will get like even more involved in the stuff that we do in Outerloop coaching, because I mean a bunch of other people do, and I think we're swapping good info all the time. But like, when they genuinely like a band, that and I'm telling you, there's a bunch of really cool bands we work with. But when you genuinely really like a band that you've worked with, and you see how you've been able to help them out, man, I'm like tearing up, because that's everything I ever wanted, right? That's all I ever wanted, is to be able to help people out, especially those bands that I really like. I mean, I sent a message to the manager of a band that I absolutely obsessively love today, and just said, hey, I'm not selling you nothing, but if you'd want to come on, I'd love to help you out, because I think you guys are awesome. And I think there's some good stuff that I think would help them out. So, all right. So, yes, Release It Right. The Silver Scream edition is still available as a pre-registration for $67. It's going to be available at that price until I have all of the additional plug-in Ice Nine Kills Silver Scream edition specific stuff that goes into Release It Right. You get Release It Right same way it's been, the same way we've sold it now for a little over a year or so. Excuse me. You'll get exactly that now. So it's not like you get nothing. You get a freaking great program for 67. It's just that $97 is what it'll be after we've got all that stuff in. All right, so going back to how the Facebook social media rollout. Hope I didn't interrupt everybody too much, but thank you for those of you who bought it at $50. Thank you. It's so motivating. For really, really interested in this, and we're gonna do some. We're gonna build a freaking awesome version of Release It Right. That's all I'm saying. I've got a huge smile on my face right now, because I've done a ton of the homework already, a ton of the work. I just need to put the pieces together and like get the graphic designer to do this and do that. And I don't know, some of you might know exactly what that's like, where you write a song, you record it, and you can't let anybody listen to it yet, but it's a good one. Like that's how I feel about Release It Right. So the Silver Scream edition. It's how I've loved. It's how I'm Release It Right. Still a program that I'm very proud of, and I still love it. But this Silver Scream edition, I think, is really, really darn cool. So, okay, cool. So, all right, you look at this list. 25th of May. That was the first thing they did. So context, right? Because this is important. A little over 4 months before the Silver Scream was released. But at that point was when Ice Nine Kills were on the road with Warped Tour, doing an awesome job, cranking it, and having all of that attention, and obviously huge crowds for them, checking them out, some of them for the first time. That was huge. It was part of that momentum push, but it was happening months and months before the album was released. And Spencer talks about this in the video as to excuse me, what it is that, the decision to release the album when they did, rather than release it while they were on Warped Tour, how it influenced the timing of the videos that they released. And so some of those things, some of this social media strategy, some of the video rollout strategy, in a way, is kind of like a happy accident in a way, because they wanted to support what they were doing live, what the touring that they were doing. And for your release, you might not have that, but I still believe it might be worth it to do it anyway, just because it's the timing. I mean, think about it, right? If they were playing in Buffalo, New York on the 26th of May and you live in San Diego, California, what the hell do you care, right? It's the band could be on tour or not on tour. It doesn't really matter. But when that video gets released on the 29th of June, you see that right there? 29th of June, they released their first video. That was when the first single was released. That is, for somebody who isn't living in the market where they just were or gonna just be, it doesn't matter that the band was on tour. It doesn't matter that they were on Warped Tour. So just like for you, just putting it out there, that timing worked, right? So June 29th, that means a little over 3 months before the Silver Scream was released is when they put out that first video. You'll notice there's 2 teaser videos that came on the 26th and 28th, right before it was full video was released on the 29th. And then following the video is when they posted a graphic that had a purchase link because they wanted to build all of those pre-sales I was talking about earlier. Pre-sales will go towards your first week sales. So you want to get as many of those as possible. Ice Nine Kills did bundles. They did ticket sales that included downloads of the album. They did all sorts of cool stuff we'll talk about in depth during the Silver Scream edition of Release It Right. All that is just a way to build up all those pre-sales. And not only that, but I mean, obviously it's also a way to get cool stuff and get the, get some really cool merchandise to fans who really want it, you know? All right, hold on. Let's see here. Three questions. Let's see. Kyle wants to know, can you get the plugin separately if you already have Release It Right? Absolutely, 100%. So I got to figure out exactly what I'm going to do, or I should say how I need to do it. But if you want the plugin, it's going to be the difference between Release It Right and the Silver Scream edition. So it's just, it would be $30. And I'm just not sure exactly how I'm going to make that happen, but I need to do it. So thank you, Kyle, for the question. And Kyle, thanks for getting Release It Right. Would you tell everybody in the chat how much you dig it? That would be good. All right, cool. Brandon asks, would you recommend Release It Right original or Silver Scream edition if we're new? Oh, that's a tough question. I'll tell you what, like, this is the way I would think about that is with Release It Right, you get a foundation, right? It's going to tell you exactly what we think when the release schedule, the rollout schedule for your album or EP, exactly what it should be in based on the amalgamation of several album releases that were successful for Outerloop management. So in that regard, I think it's very valid. I think it's really good. And I think that it's awesome. And I have gotten a bunch of emails, etc. And I'll show a couple later on and some comments from people who've bought Release It Right. I'm not going to share all of them, but it's really worked for them. And it's done some awesome stuff for them. Don't doubt it at all. With the rollout for the Silver Scream, it is unprecedented in the history of Outerloop management. And the expectations for the Silver Scream were high. I mean, really high. And it's funny, I've got like the chat messages or text messages from Mike on WhatsApp as he was like talking about, 2 weeks to go, 1 week to go, our goal is this many. There's, it was really, it's almost laughable now. I got to see if I can find those, because those numbers that were his, like, well, this is our goal, this is my like super goal, I'm afraid to tell anybody, those numbers are so much lower than what they actually got to. So I'll say this, like, when you get the Silver Scream edition, you also get the original Release It Right edition. You get the whole thing, you get everything, right? So get the whole thing, and then you can decide what it is that you want to use and you don't want to use. And it's a $30 difference to do it, right? I think it's like nothing. when you can take a chance on doing something even better. And I guess when it really comes down to it, I'd hate for you to get Release It Right and then pull that up and wonder in the back of your mind after I promise you put in the work, you follow the system, you will have the best album or EP release you've ever had, and then some. You will be the envy of your scene. I say that without hesitation. I did not stutter. And usually if I'm, telling something I don't believe in, I stutter like it's nuts, right? But I promise you, if you follow the system and you work your butt off on it, right, it will go better than you could possibly imagine. But in the back of your mind, you might be wondering, could it have been better? If you get the Silver Scream edition, you won't have that little voice in the back of your head. But I'll tell you what, if you can't afford it, hey, just grab Release It Right. I swear to God, just grab it, because that $30 is real important. But I'll tell you what, you get the Release It Right now. It's the same price for the Silver Scream as it was for Release It Right as it is. Okay, one more question, and then I got to get back to the social media rollout thing because I've been interrupted from it. Replay of the webinar. Is that the question? Yeah. So as far as the replay of this webinar, I think it's going to be broken into pieces, but I'm unsure, to be honest with you, what I'm going to do with it. Let me know. Do you put in the chat? Do you think it's gone okay? All right. Social media rollout. Facebook. This is Facebook, by the way. This is not Instagram. This is not Twitter. I'm going to have separate stuff for that. This is just Facebook. So these are the dates on that. So you probably screenshot this by now and you're looking at it and you're going, how do I do it? Same way. So check this out. This is how this works with the Silver Scream edition, right? So you put in your proposed date for when you want to release your album. You put it in that plan release date box. Sorry, I'm in Europe. So just like Metric, you guys in the States and Canada, you just totally got to adopt putting the day before the month and then the year, but I'll probably fix it when I put it up for everybody else. Right. But this is it. So you put in the day that you plan on releasing your album or EP, and then watch this. All the dates flip. So if you were going to release your album on the 31st of May, 2019, that first photo that gets people excited goes out on the 18th of January. It's pretty darn soon, which means you need to take some pictures. Means you need to get your graphics ready. It means you pretty much ought to have your recordings, by that point, pretty close to it. If you don't have a team of people to help you out, you better have all this stuff that follows that in your pocket, ready to go. So, and you'd be like, well, what is it that I need? What do I need? So in Release It Right, you'll see we've got, and what we will have in the Silver Scream edition is we'll let you know exactly what it is that you need to do ahead of time. This is stuff from Release It Right over here, the post-recording additional materials list. And you can get that now. That's there right now, $67 for Release It Right. But you will get a new list that is exclusive to the Silver Scream plugin, and that list is going to have exactly what it is that Ice Nine Kills did. And so therefore you can go, we need, 2 video teasers for this video. We need 3 video teasers for that video, and so on and so forth. We need to get onto a podcast at least this far ahead of time, and stuff like that. I'm going to get it all lined up for you. So that is how that's going to work. And that's hopefully you guys found that really interesting. For me, as a music business nerd, I find it really terribly interesting. And I should add, if you're not even a musician, maybe you're, an author or, you do something else creative and you're releasing something, you're a photographer, you're going to release photos in a collection of some sort. Like, this release schedule might work really well for that. I have no idea. I've never followed that industry. So yeah, obviously the price is going up. It's $67 from now for the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks, something like that. When I'm done with building the Silver Scream edition is when the price goes up. And I don't know what day that's going to be. It just depends on how quickly I can get all the stuff together that I want to do. It may take longer. I may need the Christmas break to do it. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll certainly keep you apprised as I'm building it, let you guys know via email as it's building. So the price is going up. So grab it for 67. Also, you know, this is the truth. Like preparing to release an album or an EP is not an exercise you begin after you leave the studio. It's something you should be thinking about weeks, maybe even months before you start miking the drums. It's an all immersive process. The idea of the rollout is something, and Spencer and I talk about this, is something that's in mind, like even when you're just writing the songs. And I know that sounds like crazy and it's way too far ahead, but it matters because you need to figure out the timing for your album or EP in order to make sure that it can be the best thing possible and make the biggest impact possible. And all this stuff, it's all about building momentum. If you're really savvy, you're thinking about how you're going to roll out your next album before you've barely finished rolling out your last. Know what to record and when to record it. Know what to tell the studio, the producer, the engineer before you choose who you want to work with, right? If you're going into the studio and you don't know what to ask for in terms of, I don't know, one example, stems, recording stems. I'll tell you what, before I built Release It Right and started working with Mike, I didn't even know what recording stems are. You might not know what recording stems are. You Google it, there's like, who knows what it comes up, right? But they're incredibly important. So you want to make sure you're working with a producer who's going to give you those, that's part of their price. And they're not going to nickel and dime you afterwards to ask for them. So that's just one of those things you need to know. And if you've never done it before, you either don't know to ask, probably, or you're going to get yourself into a situation where somebody's going to nickel and dime you afterwards. So, you need to know how to get cover art, your band photos, your bio, and your social media to work together to generate excitement and momentum and an immersive, experiential plan, an experience for fans and potential fans. And you need to know when to gig long before you start calling promoters. It's sooner than you think. All of this is a lot of organization to do. And that's why we created all these checklists and Release It Right and schedules, and all this stuff to help, right? I get it. Like for a lot of you, you're musicians, you're right brainers. And, I totally get. My brother is a professional musician and I love him to death, but getting him to follow, asking him, I guess I should say, to do this, and this, it's an impossibility. He just won't do it. Right. So, but if he knows what to do and when to do it, he's awesome at it. Right. It's like reading music. So, you don't have to, I get it. Like you don't want to be doing all of this stuff. You don't want to be doing the rollout. You want to make music. And sure, you have to be creative about how you present yourself to the world, but get rid of the mistakes you'll make in planning your release rollout, or at least know exactly how the pros do it so you can do what you want without making any mistakes that will cripple your first week's sales and streams. So why do it right? Look at these numbers, right? This was amazing. And see, releasing an album or EP is a ton of work, but I'll tell you what, like you can do a ton of work to do your album and EP release, and the results might not be much different from when you barely did anything if you don't do it right, right? It'd be like trying to cover a song and not knowing what the chords or the melody or anything. How in the world are you supposed to freaking know how it's going to sound, right? Yeah, I remember hearing the song a couple of years ago. Good luck with that cover tune, right? But if you got tablature that tells you exactly what notes to play and when to play it, Well, now all you need is a little bit of the work and talent behind it to make a great cover. That's what we're trying to do here, right? If you care to succeed with your music, it's hard to release an album or EP. I've seen plenty of musicians who don't care, and it's easy for them. But I've seen two kinds of independent artists with their album releases: those who don't care enough to put in the work that needs to be done, and that's okay. Being a musician is a hobby for some people. I totally get it. For most people, it's a hobby. But the other type are the people who want to work their asses off, and it still doesn't seem to be enough. Like, I've seen that too, where like, you're gigging like crazy. You're writing great songs. You're playing and playing, right? But you're working, but it's not building, and it's not going anywhere, and you're still not getting replies when you email industry. You're still not getting replies when you email blogs and people to get you some attention. I totally get it. I've been there, right? I mean, hell, Mike is still there sometimes. So it's about timing, and it's about doing the right things. And when you get the timing wrong and the graphics wrong, and you haven't put together enough material to promote yourself, it's almost the same as those people who didn't do anything, right? But with Release It Right, and especially with the Silver Scream Edition, you will work harder than you ever have before. I can't build a product that does the work for you, right? But you'll be excited to do the work because you can know the work you're doing is right and will get you results. I promise. Work just a little harder than you did on your last release, following the step-by-step instructions and Release It Right, or the Release It Right, the Silver Scream Edition, and you will get exponentially better results than you ever have before, right? Imagine being able to hit Billboard charts, right? You imagine talking to mom about that? All of a sudden, she starts taking you a little more seriously. You know what I'm saying? But you know who else will take you more seriously? Record labels will take you more seriously. Booking agents will take you more seriously. Managers will take you more seriously. These are the numbers that Ice Nine Kills had. If you want to, go to their Wikipedia and look at these results compared to even the prior album, right? It's huge. It's huge. So again, I get it. $67, $97. It's a lot of money. But this is an investment. You do the hard work. You follow the system. It will pay you back in additional streaming income. It'll pay you back in doors opening with new promoters, festivals, record labels, distributors, maybe all of them, right? The only way you don't make this money back is if your band falls apart and you don't want to pursue the dream anymore. And while you can put your guitars and effects racks on eBay, you can't do the same with Release It Right. I'm sorry. Like, you can't resell it like it's yours. You can take advantage of it, not take advantage of it, etc. It's money. It's gone. Right. But if you work it, you put the work into it, and hey, you have a modicum of talent, right? Plenty of bands have been huge with less. But if you're talented and you know what you're doing and you work hard, like, how could that be stoppable? That's like irrefutable, right? If you're passionate about your career in the business of music, it's a slam dunk. All right, so couple things here. Like Alan, I don't know if you're still in the chat. Alan, I thought you were going to be here, but I haven't been able to see in the chat too much while I've been presenting. Alan's part of our Outerloop coaching intensive for 2018. He sent me an email earlier this week about Release It Right. So I just want to say that, read it out to you. I didn't put it in for graphics. He just wrote, Release It Right is the go-to guide for any band seeking to avoid amateur mistakes and maximize the potential of their next release. With a clear outline every step of the way, you learn the importance of roles and responsibilities for each member of your team. And man, Alan's a super talented guy. If anybody in here is a singer, and especially a female singer, and looking for some great music to sing on, hit me up at paul@outerloopcoaching.com. Let me forward your stuff along to Alan, because his stuff is really cool. And he's got an opportunity there. Kat, maybe you're there as well. So if hopefully you've been in the chat. State Line Empire, another band that I'm super into, who's been part of Outerloop coaching family for a while now. This was one of those notes that I got that just blew my mind. Kat had written, I've been able to apply a lot of the lessons from the classes. Our latest video, Cut, has received over 100,000 views. Our earlier releases were in the 9 to 10,000 range. Knowing how to design a strategy for a release has been key. Google it. Go on YouTube. Check out State Line Empire Cut. You'll see it's got 100 and some odd thousand views, right? It might be more than that now. Kat, how many views does it have now? Are you in the chat? Can you imagine that? I mean, if you're sitting there and you've been like toiling away and you're doing your band and you're putting out videos on YouTube and you're getting like, maybe 150 views in a week or two. State Line Empire have been working their asses off for years, and they were getting 9 to 10,000 views on that stuff. They did it right, and they got to 100K. Exactly what I've been saying, right? So, man, I can't wait to see what you do when you got the State Line Empire. You got the Silver Scream rolled out. Oh, man. All right, we're almost done, right? I got some questions. Hey, anybody else has got some questions, hit them up in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer. Super excited for those of you who have been here the whole time. I know your time's really valuable, and especially on a Saturday afternoon. So I desperately hope that I desperately hope that this is useful to you, because it's been fun. So Dale asked, what's your Twitter handle? You could follow Outerloop Group at Outerloop Group, I think is the Twitter handle. To be honest with you, I'm not sure. Let me look it up. Because we don't have a Twitter handle for Outerloop Coaching. We keep it all under the same family, with Outerloop Records and Outerloop Management. So Twitter, the handle is at Outerloop Group. I should add, I don't personally post over on Twitter. We have an exclusive group over on Facebook that's just for people who've bought in and they're part of the family. For those of you who bought in today, you're part of our family. I'm never letting you go. I'm coming over for Thanksgiving. I'm going to talk politics. You know what I'm saying? So like, you're part of the family and you're going to have to put up with me. And I'm so glad you're part of the family. I'll get you the info for joining our Facebook group. And it's going to be really active in 2019, especially. That's where I do all the posting for Outerloop Coaching. It's for people who are already in. But you'll see stuff on Twitter and Facebook for on the Outerloop Group pages that's about Outerloop Coaching. Brandon, does this info apply also to a debut album? 100%. 100%. Even more so, right? You're starting from scratch. It's really hard. And I had a really great conversation just recently with one of our coaching intensive students who is rebooting the band, rebranding and rebooting, starting from scratch themselves, right? They've been playing for years. They decided, the music has changed so much. We're going to start over, getting rid of the socials, everything. People won't even know. We're starting over. So this is beyond the scope of Release It Right a little bit, but I do want to talk about this because I think it's important for a new artist, and they should always know. Think about what band you want to be and what your relationship with your fans will be in 5 years, in 10 years, whenever. Don't be acting like a new band now. You're acting like a band that 10 years from now is the band that looks back on this time and goes, thank goodness we did that. So, there's examples of bands out there who have done massive genre switches, have done massive changes in the way they look. They've done all sorts of things, right? And their audience stuck with them. And their audiences have stuck with them because the band from the early days made it so that their relationship with their fans was the most important thing. Meantime, there are other bands that have done those same things: a change of look, a change of a sound, all that stuff, and the bands didn't come with them because it wasn't about that relationship. It wasn't about that connection. It was about that that their place in that genre to a degree, right? So think about that as to what it is that you want as far as your future. Do you want artistic flexibility? Do you want to be but the other option is, do you want to be part of a scene now and have success now? When you do, then doing don't going not going with that idea of the relationship with the audience is going to be fine, but it may pay dividends to make the investment in the relationship with fans now that'll pay dividends later. I hope that makes sense. But I'll say also, with Release It Right, like, especially why this particular program is helpful for those who are new bands, is because there's a lot of information in here that you wouldn't know unless you went and did it and made the mistakes. They're expensive mistakes. So when you do it and you do Release It Right and you know what to do correctly, you save a ton of money, a ton of time, a ton of frustration, because you're doing it right from the beginning. So that was a super long answer to probably what was meant to be a briefer answer to a really great question. So hopefully that was helpful. All right. So Krasimir asks, how do you choose which song to release as a single? All right. Interesting question. Somewhat beyond what Release It Right is, but I can tell you some things that I've seen in the 2+ years I've been working with Outerloop Management, Outerloop Records, and in watching what they do. So it's been really interesting. They've had bands that have, again, made sonic switches. They've changed things up. And Mike's advice when that happens, when you've already had a release, for example, and let's say it was a pop punk type of album, right? And then you do in the next album and you find like what you're doing is a little bit more hardcore, but you got that one song that kind of still has elements of what you used to do. That's the single. That's the first single, right? You want to make sure that you do not alienate your existing fans. If you're going to take them on a journey, take them, meet them where they're at, and then take them where you want to go. You don't need to challenge your audience. Your audience is challenging enough waking up in the morning and going to work, right? Don't challenge your audience in ways that you don't need to. You can challenge your audience eventually. You can challenge them along the way. You can challenge them when they're with you, but make sure they're with you first. Don't shun them, right? So that's one way to approach a single, right? Another thing that would be an element to think about is, let's say you don't have that history. You're not making the genre switch in any way, right? What should your first song be? In my opinion, and in the opinion of many people that I've talked to in the industry, it's all about going with your strongest song first. And Spencer talks about this in our conversation, and that's part of the Silver Scream edition. He, as he puts it, I front-loaded the album release, front-loaded it, made sure the best stuff got out there first. And that's the first song, the second song, the third song, the fourth song, and they got another one that is probably going to get released as a single at some point soon. I love that. I love that concept. It's exactly right. Why would you want to, it goes back to the idea of challenging your audience. Don't challenge them, make them love you, turn them on, right? So give it your best stuff. Bree asks, Can we email Paul about Alan giving us resources if we are a female singer? 100%. Paul at outerloopcoaching.com. I'll forward you along to Alan. Happy to help. I'm happy to help everybody who's part of the Outerloop coaching family. And then, when we get really talented people in Outerloop coaching family, I'm even more excited to help out. Right. So, welcome, welcome in, and happy to forward your stuff along. Any other questions coming through? Let me see. I gotta find the screen. Whew. All right. All right. So I think, Ryan, thanks for getting the program. Really, really. So thanks. Thank you for doing that. And, I see some, Geraldine was talking to some of you about pre-selling your album. 100%. And if that's part of your strategy, please, keep your eye on emails coming from Mike and, the coaching team. I'm sorry. The Outerloop team, I should say, that are coming since you registered here. Will announce, and this will be exclusively for people who either bought Release It Right or the Silver Scream edition. We are going to have at some point in 2019 a program we did early this year called Unleash It Right, which is super advanced stuff. We don't record it. We don't give it out. It is for a limited audience. I'll be honest, it's a little pricey, but it's stuff that Mike and his team do that are just above, just kill it. And there are some of these ideas that when Mike and I talked about, I'll put a little bit of history. When he and I, when I got the information from him and I went back to him and said, I got an idea. I think there's a pattern here, and I think people would want to see it. Right. When I did that, Mike and I had hours and hours and hours of conversations about how he released his client albums over time. Right. And every once in a while he'd say, but you can't include that. No, scratch that out. Cause I do that, but I can't, we can't tell anybody that. There was a whole bunch of those. And I scratched them out on the main pad, but then I wrote it down on another pad. And then before you knew it, I had like 12, 15 things. And I went to Mike and said, all this stuff is super cool. We got to get this out some way. So the way we're doing it is Unleash It Right. We did it. So good to go. Danny's got a question. What would you include in your PRK? Hey, Danny, do you mean EPK? Because I'm not sure. Like oh yeah, press release kit. Sorry, I look at it as electronic press kit nowadays. So, all right, for you, I hate to plug a different product, but 60 days assignable, we go into major detail on the EPK and what should be included. Let me think off the top of my head, stuff that is super awesome. And I should say 60 days assignable got a really kick butt workbook too. I can't wait to teach that class again. Have Mike teach it or somebody teach it. I don't know who's going to teach it. You need your photo. And all right, so with the photo, there's all sorts of rules and regulations with your photo. But you remember when we were talking earlier about the pre-release poster and the elements that are included on that and how you got to have everything sort of feed into the same immersive experience? EPK is that idea all in one page, right? You can't, you can't be dressed for the beach in your photo and then have your album have a picture of a forest on it, right? It's gotta all have cohesion to it. So, so a photo, bio, and with your bio, we go into a ton of detail about a story that matters, a story that will bring people in, that makes people want to read more. I can't tell you how awful it is reading bios, and this is 9 out of 10 of them, that most media will ignore, especially from a band they haven't heard from before, that like in the first 2 sentences, names off everybody in the band. who cares who's in the band? I don't even know who the band is. And you're going into detail and, oh, well, you know, Randy's on drums and Ted's on. Don't care. Don't care. Tell me why you matter. Tell me why I should listen. Tell me why this is an interesting experience. Tell me why this experience of listening to your band, to becoming a fan of your band. Yeah, tell me all that. So, all right, super detailed. It's 60 days assignable is 60 days, Danny. It takes 2 months to go through all this, right? But okay. Bio, photo. You need to include ways for people to listen to your music easily. Don't put a password on it. Don't put it in some sort of embedded player that I got to jump to a new page. It's just, I need to click the button. I got to hear it. And I should add, if you're a new band, your song has to bring me in. I used to say 60 seconds. I think it might be closer to 30 at this point. So, that's on that. Okay. So Bryson, thanks for the question, Bryson. What's the best way to build up a release for a brand new band? Singles first, follow the system. Follow the system. It's more than just putting out songs and hoping people get into it, right? It's teasing it. It's getting people to pay attention. And here's another thing is that the outer, how do I put this? With the Silver Scream edition, with the Silver Scream, Ice Nine Kills put out 4 videos before the album came out. 4, right? Most bands, and what we taught in Release It Right is you got 1 video, then maybe you have a visualizer, and then maybe you just put it out exclusively on a streaming site or whatever, right? That's the advice in Release It Right. Silver Scream, Spencer and the band put out 4 videos. So that's what he's advising, and probably it works so well this time. I'll tell you what, Ice Nine Kills on the next album, I'd be shocked if they don't put out 4 videos or more on their next release. So that means for you, if you're doing Silver Scream Edition rollout, 4 videos. And I know they're expensive. You know what? Shoot all 4 of them one day. Use the same director, bring a bunch of outfit changes, keep it simple as far as ideas and stuff, but make it visual. So, videos are awesome. And then with, if you do just the regular Release It Right schedule, because you only have limited resources, that sort of thing. Follow that; it works really, really well as well. But you need at least one in 2018, 2019, all years that follow. I would imagine I highly, highly recommend videos, as many as you possibly can. One of our part of our member of our family who's in the intensive program, his band, I can't remember how many songs are on their album. I think it's 10, 11. He's got 10, 11 videos. So, All right. Hopefully I've answered all the questions. I got to tell you, I didn't think this was going to go this long. This is nuts. Is there another one here? Let's see. No, not on this one. I think we're good. Yeah. Thanks for sticking around the whole time. I mean, a ton of you stuck around for the whole thing. I'm looking at the numbers. Oh man. Thank you. I know your time is valuable. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you'll join the family. If you're a fan of Ice Nine Kills and you're not like a musician yourself, the whole thing, I hope you learned a lot about what goes on behind the business. As someone who's not a musician myself, what does Dale say? If I could hop on one foot for 2 hours while teaching a seminar, that's a whole new level. I am not hopping on one foot, but I'll tell you, I've been teaching enough at this point that I don't even stop for water. Jeez. Dan, thank you. No, I really appreciate you being here. So, hey, everybody, thanks for coming. And hey, we'll, I'll have to do something similar on like YouTube Live or something like that sometime soon. But yeah, it's been my pleasure. As I said, if I get hit by a bus at some point, hopefully after I'm done making the Silver Scream edition, like this is the thing that if this is what I end up being remembered for, I'll be pretty happy with that, because I've seen what differences it's made for some people, and that makes me really happy. And to a degree, it makes everything that I did before Release It Right, as far as music industry stuff is concerned, I just, I don't know whether I did make a difference in the world, but perhaps this program does. And that's part of the reason we try to keep the price as low as we can, so that way everybody can get to it. That's really what I want. Hey, spread the word for me if you don't mind. All right, before I get too sappy, I'm going to wrap it up. Outerloopcoaching.com. Yeah, be sure to go to outerloopcoaching.com. I'll have some graphics here on the that'll have the Silver Scream edition and how you can get it for $67 until it's ready. And if you're registered here for this tonight, you are on the email list already, and you'll be getting emails. Just do me a favor. It doesn't happen often, but every once in a while I do hear that, something that we sent out ended up in somebody's spam folder. So if that is possible with you, check your spam folder. You should have gotten like 2-3 emails from me today. So yeah, just check your spam folder, and then in one of those emails, there's instructions on how to set up a filter in your Gmail or whatever your Outlook or whatever your email program is, to set up a filter so that you don't miss an email and it goes to a folder that you can see. And if you're subscribed to a bunch of music business course people, there's a bunch of us out there. I know some are better than others, but if you're collecting emails, oftentimes there's some good information in there. You take your career seriously. Setting up a filter for all of us who send those emails so that they're all in one spot is really helpful, because man, I get just absolutely annihilated with emails. So I've set up filters. So yeah. All right. So thank you all again for coming. I'm going to stop here and hope to see you again soon. So thank you very much for being a part. I really appreciate it. Once again, Ice Nine Kills, the Silver Scream edition of Release It Right, available at outerloopcoaching.com.